Om Namah Shivaya.
So let's start. Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Sahana Vavatu
Sahana Bhavatu Saha Veeryam Karavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vishwavahai. Om Shanti Shanti.
So we are on the 24th verse of the 6th chapter. So let us chant that. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman
Sankalpavan Kaman
Tyakta Sarvana Sheshataha
Tyakta Sarvana Sheshataha
Manasaivendriyagramam
Manasaivedriyagramam
Viniyamya Samantataha So we are on the subject of Nidhyasanam itself. We are having more of ideas on that. So he says, Tyaktva Asheshataha. So you look at the last word of the first line, Sarvan Asheshataha. That has to be broken into two pieces, Sarvan plus Asheshataha. The na, of course, will have a halant before, Sarvan Asheshataha. And therefore, Tyaktva Asheshataha. Ashesham means without any shesham. Shesham is a remainder. Asheshatam means completely. And therefore, Tyaktva Asheshataha. Having completely given up, Sarvan Kaman. So the Kaman is in the first word. Let's pick up that. Sarvan Kaman. All desires. And what sort of desires are they? Sankalpa Prabhavan. Born out of your commitments, your fancies. What should one do? Indriya Gramam. So, Gramam is basically meaning a village. Indriya Gramam means a village of Indriyas. So here the meaning of Gramam is to be in the meaning of group, not a village. So Indriya Gramam, the group of sense organs. Vinimya. Vinimya is one should restrain. So Indriya Gramam Viniyamya, one should restrain. Manasa eva, using the mind alone, and restrain from where? Samantataha, from every direction. Here again, Krishna has come back to the topic of what is the nature of meditation. Dhyana Swarupam. What exactly is the practice? Which means what should I be doing when I say I am sitting in meditation? What am I supposed to be doing? Very many people just close their eyes and sit. That is not meditation. So what is it that is required to be done as specified in Shastram? So we have talked about this particular topic before, where in the discussion on Dharana and Dhyana and Samadhi. So Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi is the form of this Dhyana Sarupam. What should I do? First, turn the mind away from all the external world. So my business, my family members, my relatives, my physical body, my concerns for the past and the future, for my body as well as the bodies of my relatives, all these things I should turn my mind away from. And therefore he says, Tyaktva Asheshataha, I should give up completely Sarvan Kaman. So Kaman here represents all my desires, which means all my future plans, all my expectations, right? Everything. Sarvan is very important, right? And what do you mean by future plans and expectations? Because if you look at yourself, you examine yourself objectively, let us take just the last 1 hour before you came for class. Okay. And those who have come for Mundaka class, let's take it the 1 hour before that, or maybe 1 hour yesterday, in the daytime when you were not having a class. Out of that 1 hour, if you examine very carefully, you will find that a majority of that time was present. Your mind was dwelling upon the past or thinking about the future. So either it is what has happened before or what is going to happen. And therefore, karma is future plans and expectations here, because you very rarely, your mind is in the present, right? And sarvan kaman, all desires, all expectations. So somebody might say, why all? Why sarvan kaman? Can I not have at least one or two expectations? So no. Krishna says no. You cannot have even one single expectation, right? The question is, how is it that one expectation will disturb me? So we give the example of if you are living in the ashram, for example, you sleep under a mosquito net. Okay. How many mosquitoes are required for you to be disturbed? One or two or three? Especially if they are inside the net. Even one single mosquito is sufficient to disturb you. And therefore, when you are inside the net of meditation, you are trying to focus your mind. Even one thought is sufficient to disturb you. Even one expectation is sufficient to disturb you. And therefore, for 30 minutes, asheshataha. Drop all the future expectations, drop all your plans. Sankalpa prabhavan, all the thoughts. Prabhavan means born. Sankalpa means your expectations. All the thoughts born out of the sankalpa, you drop. Now, there is a commentator by the name of Anandagiri, right? He is some commentator for the Bhashyam. He gives a very nice meaning. He says sankalpa should be taken as shobhana adhyasaha. Shobhana adhyasaha means that adhyasa, that superimposition, where you see only shobhanam, only positive things. And therefore, that too only exaggerated positive things. You look at only the exaggerated positive part of your life, which may be existent or non-existent, right? And when you imagine the exaggerated positives, what happens? You don't see the negatives. And therefore, the future appears to be very, very fine. And this is not the truth of Anatma. But with regard to Anatma, remember, the future is never very great. Ultimately, Shadvikara is there. And therefore, when you underestimate the negatives or overlook the negatives, there is a big gap between the actual Anatma and the ideal which you keep in your mind. And therefore, Krishna says, don't focus so much on the Anatma that all your happiness, all your dependence is there on the Anatma. Don't do that. And therefore, Sankalpa Prabhavan Tektva. May you renounce all your Sankalpas. Because if you nourish the thought about the Anatma too much, the reality is very different. And therefore, you will end up in a deep depression. So at the Bijam level itself, at the very initial level itself, when the thought itself comes, divert your mind, Tektva. How should you do the Tekt? What is the instrument with which you will divert? Manasa eva, with the mind alone. And what kind of a mind? So Shankara says, Viveka yuktena manasaha. Which a mind which has got nitya, anitya, vastu vivekaha. And therefore it has the capacity to see the three defects of all anatma vastu. So I am not going to talk about the defects because I think we all know what they are. Now, how should I withdraw the mind? Well, I have to withdraw the mind. That's what he says. withdraw the mind is what? Indriya gramam viniyamya. Withdrawing the mind simply means withdraw the sense organs. Because it is through the sense organs, through the indriyas, that the external world comes into my mind and disturbs me. And the withdrawal of the mind, therefore, is nothing here but preventing the world from entering my mind. What is the door? It is the Indriya Gramam, the group of sense organs only. And therefore, Niyamya. Having restrained the Indriyas, having withdrawn them from the external world, and is it completely withdrawn or not? Samantataha. Completely and totally withdrawn. Because if it is not totally withdrawn, you will have some thoughts coming in. And as I said before, even one mosquito inside the net is sufficient to disturb you. Even one thought in your meditative state is sufficient to disturb you. Therefore, samantataha, completely withdraw the mind. So the mind is withdrawn from the past and from the future. And also, we have to add here, it doesn't focus on the present also. And therefore, it is completely available to me for Nididhyasana. And how should this Nididhyasanam be done? We will look at the next verse, which we will chant. Verse number 25, let us chant. Shanai Shanai Ruparamit.
शनैः शनैः
शनैरुपरमे
Buddhya Dhritigrahitaya.
बुद्ध्या
बुद्ध्या
धृतिगृहीतया
धृतिगृहीतया
Atma Samstham Manakritva.
आत्मसंस्थं मनः
मनः
कृत्वा
कृत्वा
न किंचित अपि चिंतयेत.
न
न किञ्चिदपि
किञ्चिदपि
चिन्तयेत्.
Okay, so Krishna is giving the technique. So uparamet. So that is, you have to break the second word. Shanai uparamet. The word is second word is broken as Shanai uparamet. Uparamet means withdraw. Uparama. We saw that in Tattva Bodha. One should withdraw the mind. How? Shanaihi. Gradually, you have to withdraw the mind. And if you have to withdraw the mind, you need something to hold the mind to pull it away. So what is that instrument which you are going to use to hold the mind? He says buddhya, by the intellect. So that intellect should be kept intact. You cannot give up the intellect when you are doing meditation, because the intellect is needed to pull the mind away from the world. And therefore, buddhya, by the intellect should be kept intact. And the intellect has to be of a very specific type. What is that? Dhriti grahitaya. Grahitaya, which has got, which has grasped, which is endowed with. Dhriti. So dhriti here means viveka, discrimination. So that intellect which is endowed with discrimination, which has got discrimination as a virtue, that intellect to use slowly, shanai, gradually, uparamet, manaha uparamet, having to withdraw the mind. And then, having withdrawn the mind, what should you do? Manah kritva atma samstham. So, manaha, the mind, which has been withdrawn from the world, atma samstham kritva, having made the mind abide in the Atma, what should you do? Kinchid api na chintayet. One should not think of anything else other than the Atma. Okay. Shanai is very important because the withdrawal has to be done gradually. The Atma is very subtle. And the mind cannot suddenly jump from the gross Jagat to the subtle Atma. And therefore, Shanai Shanai. You have to turn away slowly, slowly. So there is a Nyaya called Arundhati Darshana Nyaya. Okay, Arundhati is a star and it's a bright star, but it's not immediately, you cannot make out when look at it. So what do? There is a logic, or there is a rule which is called a Nyaya, and that rule in Sanskrit is called Arundhati Darshanam. What do? You look at a brighter star, and then you say, look at that star, and once you have looked at that star, then you say, look at the next star, and so on you go on till finally you reach Arundhati. This Nyaya is also called Shaka Chandra Nyaya. Okay, for example, if you want to look at Arundhati, you can first point out the branch of the tree in front of you and say, look at the branch of the tree. Then you say, okay, now look at the moon, which you can see next to the branch. Then look at the stars, and slowly, slowly you come to Arundhati star, which is not very bright, but which can be arrived at slowly, slowly, Shanai Shanai. And therefore, using the Arundhati Darshana Nyaya, also called Shaka Chandra Nyaya, to make the mind gradually more and more subtle. That is the meaning of Shanai Shanai. Which is, first you turn your mind away from the gross external world. How do you do that? All the study that you have done so far in the 6 chapters, you have to use. I am Brahman. Nothing in the world really belongs to me. And if you are not in I am Brahman stage, when you say I am the sadhaka, everything belongs to Ishvara, nothing really belongs to me. I am just the trustee. It is given for my use only. And everything that Ishvara has given me, he is giving me for my inner growth. And it's only temporary because he will take it away. So you can extend that even to your wives and husbands and children and parents and grandchildren, right? All given to you to enjoy yourself, to have more and more chitta shuddhi by understanding that everything is temporary. All relationships are temporary. So don't claim anything. I am not saying don't enjoy your children and grandchildren and parents' company. I am saying don't claim them as your own. Say that, yes, tell yourself, all this is provided to me by Ishvara for my entertainment and for making sure that my mind is refined. I'll request you all not to unmute yourself, okay? Because it disturbs the recording. So, I don't claim anything. And the moment I stop claiming things, what happens? The mind doesn't have anything to hold on to. As long as you claim something, claiming means what? You're thinking about it. So the mind has got that object in its grasp. The moment you stop claiming anything at all as yours, so what happens? The mind drops it. The mind is withdrawn. That is what is withdrawing the mind. And remember that in the normal course, we have aham abhimanaha, mama abhimanaha. My mind dwells upon my body-mind complex. My mind dwells upon mamakara, what is mine, right? So you say, I am yours, you are mine. All that is very nice for Grihastha life. But as a Vedantic, what should you know? Nothing is yours, nothing is mine. Everything belongs to Ishvara alone. Any relationship that I have, the permanent one is only with Ishvara. All other ties are impermanent. Body to body ties only. And thus, using this logic, using this thinking, withdraw from the external world, withdraw from the Jagat, withdraw from your relatives, withdraw from your bank balance, withdraw from your car and your house, and slowly, slowly come to the body. Once you come to the body, dismiss the body as anatma. Pancha kosha viveka has to be done. You withdraw from the world to your relatives, to your possessions, And then you come to Annamaya Kosha. From there you withdraw to Pranamaya Kosha. From there you withdraw to Manomaya Kosha. From Manomaya Kosha you withdraw to Vijnanamaya Kosha. From Vijnanamaya Kosha you withdraw to Anandamaya Kosha. From Anandamaya Kosha you withdraw to Ananda, Brahman only. So from gross to subtle to more subtle to most subtle. And therefore Krishna says, turn your attention to the body. You discard the body as anatma. Turn your attention to the mind. When you come to the mind, what do you see? You see thoughts. And then one more jump you need to make, that I am not the thoughts in the mind, nor am I the mind. How? Because before the thoughts arrive, I am. How do I know? Because I am witness to the arrival of the thoughts. During the presence of the thoughts, I am aware of the thoughts. Therefore, I was there before the thoughts came. I am there when the thoughts are there. After the thoughts have gone, I know the thoughts have gone. Therefore, I am still there. And therefore, I was there before the thoughts came. I am there during the presence of the thoughts. I am there after the thoughts have gone. Therefore, I am not the thoughts. I am not the mind. What am I? I am the Sakshi Chaitanyam, the witness consciousness only. And Krishna says, of course, that you have to gradually do this in steps. Shanai, Shanai. By the intellect. What kind of intellect? He said, intellect with this dhriti grahitaya, endowed with viveka. Why is viveka required? Because discrimination is required for separating sat and chit from panchakosha, from existence and consciousness from panchakosha has to be clearly separated. It is not a physical separation, it's an intellectual separation. It requires vivekaha. And therefore I am aware, I am in the panchakosha is one step. I am aware of the panchakosha is another step. I am different from the panchakosha is the third step. I should be very careful not to get lost in my body. The body will continue to have all sort of problems. And therefore, from the body, from a sthula shariram, I should come to sukshma shariram. The body's problem should not affect my journey from sthula to sukshma. The sukshma's thoughts should not affect my journey from sukshma to ananda to sakshi. I should own up myself as the sakshi chaitanyam, the witness consciousness of the thoughts. Once I have come to sakshi chaitanyam, the atma, the journey is over. And therefore, atma samstham manakritva. Once the mind has come to atma, let the mind dwell on the atma only. And dwelling in the atma or abiding in the atma is nothing but making sure that all your thoughts are about atma only. There is no physical dwelling in the atma. Dwelling in the atma is making sure that any thought in my mind is nothing but an atma thought. So you can have nirguna atma, aham nirgunaha, aham nityaha, aham niranjanaha, aham asangaha, aham shuddhaha, aham nirakaraha. All so many words we have learnt. So many words connected with the atma we have learnt in all these 5 chapters. All these words are present in the scriptures. And when you study the Vedas, Upanishads, there are many more words that you will learn. All these words are present only in Shastram. And therefore, this Nididhyasanam is impossible without knowing the meaning of these words, which means I should have studied the Shastra. And therefore, Atma Samstham Manakritva. You have to make sure the mind remains in Atma. Now you can say, Why should I make sure? How am I supposed to make sure? And further, you are saying Atma Chaitanyam is Sarvagataha, is all pervading. Where can I go? So all that is the problem. That is why I said you have to make sure that your mind remains in the Atma, because all thoughts about the Atma only. Right. So you can have another question. You should have another question. You say that Atma is everything. If Atma is everything, what other thought other than Atma can I have? Because we say Atma eva idam sarvam. Everything is Atma only. Right? But going by that logic, the knower, the one who is studying Vedanta, the process of studying Vedanta, and the object of Vedanta, all three are Atma, right? The Gyatru, the Jnanam, and the Jnayam are Atma only. They are not separate from Atma. Then why do I think of the three as separate? Because it is as if the status of Atma is being limited. Why? When you say I am a Gyatru, I am a knower, you say there is a mind. And the limitation of the mind has a limitation, it is anatma only. That limitation of the mind is being superimposed upon the Atma, and I call it Pramata, the knower. And therefore there is a known object also. It is as if there is a knower Chaitanyam, a knowledge Chaitanyam, and a known Chaitanyam. It is as if there is a knower consciousness, a knowledge consciousness, and a known consciousness. But in reality, this division is only seemingly there. Nothing is separate from consciousness. Therefore, I, the divisionless Atma, am present in each of these seeming divisions. That is what is to be appreciated. There can be no place, no thought, no idea which is not pervaded by me, the Atma. And this appreciation is what is conveyed by Atma Samstham Manakritva. In fact, you can think of any object. You can think of a tree, you can think of a stone. The tree thought cannot be different from Atma. But the stone thought cannot be different from Atma. And therefore, this appreciation only means that whenever you think of something, you turn to the very basis of that thought, and you will find the basis of every vastu, including thought, is nothing but consciousness alone. And therefore, mind abiding in Atma, remaining in Atma, is nothing but appreciating Atma as the very substratum, the very foundation of everything. Through and through, Atma pervades everything. And therefore, entertaining thoughts which are about the Atma, this is called remaining in Atma. It's a deliberate thought which is entertained. And not only that, I may be thinking about different aspects of the Atma. Nirguna, Sarvagataha, Nirakaraha. Even each of them is a separate thought, right? Nirguna is one thought, Nirakara is another thought. Even when the thoughts are changing, through all this, I have to appreciate that they're all very important ideas. I have to appreciate that the thoughts are changing, but I, the consciousness, the witness of the thoughts, do not change. Why? To know a changing status, an unchanging observer is necessary. So even when thoughts are changing, I, the consciousness, am present. I, Sakshi Chaitanyam, am present. And therefore, I deliberately entertain all sort of thoughts about Atma, which I have gathered from the Shastra. All my thoughts are Atma-centric thoughts. Atma-centric thoughts have a technical name. They are called Akhand Akara Vritti. That is the thought, the vritti, which is got a divisionless form. What is divisionless about that form is the all-pervading Atma consciousness is there in the thought. That is the divisionless part. And therefore only na kinchid api chintayet. Do not think of anything else. You have to hold on to the flow of Atma thoughts. Remember here, we are talking about Atma thoughts. Literally speaking, any thought, even an Anatma thought, can finally be taken as an Atma thought, because Anatma is pervaded, is dependent upon Atma. But in this Nididhyasanam portion, we are talking about the Shastric injunction that you should have only Atma thoughts, which means those descriptions of the Atma which you have learned from Shastra. And therefore, when you are, for example, listening to this class, what is the subject? The subject is the nature of the Atma Swarupam. And therefore, if your mind is focused behind your ears, that concentration in listening, that concentrated listening itself is Nididhyasana. You don't have to sit in Padmasana, right? You don't have to close your eyes. And therefore, Shravanam also, the first time Shravanam is done, it is Shravanam. First time you hear something, it is Shravanam. But the second time Shravanam is done, it is reliving the Shravanam. That reliving is called meditation, Nididhyasanam only. In fact, there is a Upanishad called Kaivalya Upanishad. So there the student goes to the teacher and says, Adihi Bhagavo Brahma Vidyam. So Adihi is taken as, so Bhagavo, O Lord, is addressing the teacher, O Lord, Adihi Brahma Vidyam. Teach me Brahma Vidya. So Adihi is normally taken as teach me, but the literal meaning of Adihi is to remember. And therefore, what the student is actually asking the Acharya is, O Acharya, may you loudly remember what you have learned from your Guru about Brahma Vidya. And then when you are remembering loudly, I will listen. So again, we're talking about the fact that even remembering is nothing but Nididhyasanam only. Okay, Shankara comes up with a very fundamental question, which I have already broached to you. Sarvam idam Atma. Brahmaiva sarvam idam. Everything is Atma only. Where is the question of any distraction? So, what should you do whenever you face any distraction? Right? Your husband, your wife, your partner, he comes up, his face comes up in front of you when you are doing meditation. We are talking about Nididhyasana. You don't do this, in your daily transactions. Okay. So in Nididhyasanam, you are sitting there and the face of your loved one comes before you. What should you do? You do a mental dissection. When you do a mental dissection, you divide that face into two parts. The Nama Rupa plus Atma. Right? And the same face which distracts you when you look at the Nama Rupa will become a source of Brahman when you focus on the Atma instead. Remember that face is Nama Rupa plus Atma. You focus on the Nama Rupa, the face is a distraction. You drop the focus on Nama Rupa, you focus on the other part, which is the Atma. Where is the distraction? And expand that example. Whatever you see in this world is nothing but Atma plus Namaropa. And you take one step further. Who is that Atma? I alone am. And therefore, na kinchit api chintaye. Okay. Now the question is, what is Nididhyasanam for? Nididhyasanam is for a very specific purpose, for the drishta phalam of jnanam. Changing the mindset in our language from your triangular format to binary format. In the triangular format, you are faced with Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. You are the Jiva, the Jagat bothers you, and you pray to Ishvara so that the Jagat will no longer bother you, rescue you from the Jagat, you pray to Ishvara. In the binary format, there are only two things, Atma, Anatma. You are the Atma, Anatma is dependent upon you. Where is the question of getting bothered by what is dependent upon you? And therefore, Nididhyasanam is for the changing of the mindset from triangular format to binary format. Since it is Drishtaphalam. Why is it Drishtaphalam? Because when you change from triangular to binary format, you are very much aware of the peace of mind which comes. And therefore, remember that Shastric Vidhis governing actions for Adrishta Phalam are not applicable. What is action for Adrishta Phalam? Your puja, parayanam, homam, all these are meant for punyam, which is Adrishta Phalam. Whenever you are looking for punyam, you are entering into a Vaidika ritual, Vaidika karma. Vaidika karma is governed by Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda is governed by all the Shastric within Nishedaha. Therefore, whenever you do any karma for punyam, remember that you are bound by the restrictions and the injunctions of Karma Kanda. Right? Punyam is Adrishta Phalam. Therefore, any Adrishta Phalam activity is bound by Shastric Vidhi Nishedaha, injunctions and prohibitions. But the phalam of Nididhyasanam is Drishta Phalam. And therefore, all these injunctions are not applicable. All these vidhis are not applicable. Therefore, posture is not compulsory. Putting chandanam on putting that sandalwood on your forehead is not compulsory. You can do Nididhyasanam when you are in Padmasana. You can do Nididhyasanam when you are in a chair. You can do Nididhyasanam if you are lying down. You can do Nididhyasanam when you are walking. You can do Nididhyasanam even if you have not had a bath. Right? So, the rules applicable for Karmakanda activity is not applicable for Nididhyasanam, which is a Jnana Kanda activity. And remember that, as I said before, even repeated Shravanam can become Nididhyasanam. First Shravanam only gives the Jnanam. All subsequent Shravanam is reinforcement of that Jnanam. And therefore, all subsequent Shravanams are Nididhyasanam only. There is only one condition. That when the Shravanam says Atma is Sarvagataha or Brahman is Sarvagataha, you must convert that into Aham. In all future Shravanams, that Atma Sarvagataha has to be converted into Aham Sarvagataha. I am all pervading, I am eternal, I am the creator, all that. That one condition, if you fulfill, all, Shravanam which is done subsequent to the first Shravanam, that is also Nididhyasana. And if you remember Drik Drishya Vivekaha, there was one line, Samadhim Sarvada Hridayeva Athva Bahihi. He says, do this Nididhyasanam all the time. Samadhi there was Nididhyasanam. You do Nididhyasanam all the time. Hridayeva bahihi. Hridaye athva bahihi. You can do it internally in your mind, or you can do it externally also. The only thing is that whenever or whichever method I use, I have to focus on the Atma and not on the Namarupa. Atma means the isness, the existence I have to focus on. The existence, consciousness is my area of focus and not the Namarupa. And that is what is called Atma Samstham Manakritva. And na kinchid api chintayet means do not focus on the Namarupa. Right? Na kinchid api chintayet is very, very important because it comes after Atma Samstham Manakritva. Atma Samstham Manakritva, whenever you look at any Anatma, remember there are two portions. There is a Atma, there is a Namarupa. Atma Samstham Manakritva, focus on the Atma. Na kinchit api chintayet, do not focus on the Namarupa. Turn your attention from the changeable to the unchangeable. Turn your attention from the object which is being seen to the witness consciousness. You change that focus of yours. I don't know how many of you have been to Atma Bodha classes. There Shankara says, Jagad Vilakshanam Brahma, Brahmano Nyatra Kinchana, Brahmanyad Bhati Chen Mithya, Yatha Maru Marichika. So he says, Jagad Vilakshanam Brahma. Brahman is Vilakshanam from Jagat, is different from Jagat. And Brahmana Anyatra Kinchana Nasti. There is nothing which is separate from Brahman. Nothing is similar to Brahman, not separate. Anyatra, similar to Brahman. So, Brahmana Anyatra Kinchana. Nothing is similar to Brahman. And Brahman is different from the universe. And Brahma Anyat Bhati. If anything is different from Brahman, Chet Mithya Asti. It is nothing but Mithya. And he gives an example, Yatha Maru Marichika. Just like the mirage, the Marichika, where in the Maru, in the desert. The desert is the reality. If you see anything else in the desert, if you perceive anything else in the desert, what are you perceiving? You are perceiving a non-real mirage. Similarly, in this Nididhyasanam, when you perceive your wife's face, what should you see? You should see Atma. The wife's face is Mithya. You have to see Atma, means in that face of your loved one, you are seeing nothing but yourself. That is Nididhyasanam. Okay, any questions?
Acharya ji, what is Shravanam for us? Is Nididhyasanam for the Acharya?
Shravanam, the Acharya is reliving by teaching, right? So Shravanam, what is Shravanam for you is definitely Nididhyasanam for me. Which is why the Shastra says that the Acharya should always teach. Because Shastra is afraid that Acharya might forget. So he should always teach. He will never forget if he continues to teach. No, SPG says, SPG once said, that when you learn Bhagavad Geeta, and if you don't have a audience, what you should do, you should invite your neighbor over for tea. Okay. When you give him tea, he can't run away, he has to drink the tea. During the time that you're giving him tea, you spout your wisdom onto him. You've got a captive audience. So the idea is that you relive what you have learned.
Yes. Thank you.
Om Acharya ji.
Over having listened it, and you have to keep on replaying in your mind all the time.
Yeah. Yes, Bharati ji, you were saying something.
Yes, I wanted to ask, you said one has to focus on Brahman part, the Atman part. So is the focus on Sagun Ishvara, Swarup of Ishwar also included in that?
No, here we are talking about Nirguna.
We are talking
Because
about
you are saying Aham.
Aham.
Nididhyasanam cannot be for Saguna. Saguna Ishvara is left behind in Karma Kanda.
Okay.
Yeah. Here you are saying Aham Brahma Asmi, the
Okay.
Nirguna part. Because you are definitely not Saguna Ishvara, right?
Right.
Never make the mistake of thinking that when I say I am Ishvara, I think I am Saguna Ishvara. I am not. Saguna Ishvara is infinite. I, the RC, am very finite.
Okay.
The only way I can equate is to Bhagatyaga Lakshana. What is not fitting, you drop. What is not fitting? The bodies are not fitting. I have an individual body. Ishvara has an infinite body. That I give up. Tektva. What remains is consciousness alone.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Om Acharya. Thank you so much, Acharya. It was such a needed point which was going on in my mind. But one more thing, it comes in my mind so much is that even Nama Rupa, the name is also like if we relate it to Om is also like the mantras are also like Brahman only, like. So when we segregate our loved ones as the form, as the Brahman, but even the name is Brahman. So how to like think about progress in thinking about this?
What you are saying is, exactly the purpose of Nididhyasanam. Whenever you are in the normal, study, normal life, supposing I tell you that, supposing you have never heard of a pineapple in your life, okay? So you come to me and say, what is a pineapple? So I bring a pineapple out of the garden, place it before you. And I say, this is the pineapple. It has got a little bit of thorns on top. You cut it, it is sweet. All those things I tell you, right? What is the process of perception? I am the knower, I am the pramata, and this is the pineapple, the prameyam. You have made a distinction, right? The object to be known, the prameyam, is different from you, the pramata. That is the normal thing. That is the biggest stumbling block in the study of Vedanta. If you try to approach Brahman with this concept that Brahman has to be reduced to a concept which I can understand, when you say concept, you are saying object. And that is the problem. Because Brahman is not an object at all. Brahman is you, the very subject. And therefore, this is what the teacher tries to explain in all the thousands of classes that he takes. This is the main teaching, is that you should learn to understand that Brahman is nothing but yourself. And therefore, you cannot say that, my relative is also Brahman. Because there you are there and your relative is there. So subject-object division is there. Wherever there is a subject-object division, you have not really understood. It is when you stop this, in lack of a better word, I'll use a word which is probably not an English word, okay? Objectification. Converting something into an object. That idea has to stop. As long as you convert things into objects, it is okay for you, the subject, to study the Jagat, the material world. But it is not okay for you, the subject, to study yourself. Subject cannot objectify himself. You cannot put yourself under the microscope.
Acharya, thank you. Is this coming because of aham vritti?
Aham vritti basically is I am.
Yes.
I am is the RC, Ahankara. Right? Remember that in and through the RC, the OC is there. And that's again one very important point. You cannot say that the original consciousness is not there in the reflected consciousness, right?
It's always there. It's in a very subtle form. That's why you can't sometimes grasp it.
No, it's
Right.
not always, not subtle form, but without that original consciousness, where is the question of the reflection?
Hmm.
See,
The
it's like
source.
saying that, the reflected image of my face in the mirror is dependent upon my original face. It's a very obvious statement, right? You won't have that face in the mirror without your original face. And therefore, you cannot have a reflection without the original. That is what is meant by saying in every RC, the OC is there. It is the RC which is the thinking person, which is the Pramata. But the RC using its mind has to understand the concept that the RC which I see, the reflection which I see, is basically because of the original which I am. It's a very subtle thing to understand. So it takes years of study of Vedanta, because one fine day it will just click and you'll say, oh, that's what it means.
Yes, Acharya. Thank you.
Okay, so we have enough time for a quick, what do you call, Nivyasan session. Small little session we'll do. Let me see whether I can locate something for you. All right. So please stand back. Let's sit back, close your eyes. We'll do a quick session, 5-6 minutes. So just lean back, relax your mind. Make sure your body is in straight line as far as possible. So today's session is connected with what we are talking about, the various thoughts. Okay, now you have to focus on my words. Close your eyes, focus on the words. Try to understand what they really mean. All mental problems which bother me, negative thoughts, anger, jealousy, fear, they really are nothing but thoughts alone. Whenever I say I am angry, it really means angry thought is present in my mind. And the anger belonging to that vritti, I have transferred onto myself. Now, the only way of addressing these negative thoughts, these mental problems, is by removing the thought. The removal of the thought is to be achieved through my own effort only. Anybody else, your friends, relatives, even Ishvara, can only be a supporting factor in this effort. The effort has to be yours alone, because the thought belongs to your mind alone. Nobody else can be anything but a supportive force. How do I change this thought? My main effort, or my effort, is going to be the predominant sadhana to change the thought and therefore change the quality of my mind. I should always remember that this is the only method. My own effort can change, my own effort only can change my negative thoughts. We often refuse to believe this. because we think thoughts are intrinsic part of me and I cannot change it. That is because I have not made use of this self-effort faculty which I have, right? In the past, I may have done so many things because of the influence of someone else, influence of parents, teachers, spouses, society. And if I try to find something which I have done purely on my own volition, without being instigated by someone else, I may not find it very easy to think of such activity. And therefore, I don't have faith that I can do things with my own effort. For this, I start with a very strong sankalpa. I will need a very strong will. And I have to say that whatever is in front of me, whatever negative thoughts I have, I shall be able to resolve. I have to admit that my willpower may not be strong now, but I have to believe that I can improve it. Just as I believe in the will of Easwara, I have to also believe in my own willpower, in the strength of my Sankalpa Shakti. And I have to develop this Sankalpa Shakti slowly. Start with small things, then gradually expand to larger things. And remember that this Sankalpa Shakti is like a muscle. Every time I use it, it gets more strengthened. So let me start with a small resolve. For example, I will chant 5 verses of chapter 2 every day. First 5 one day, second 5 second day, third 5 third day, and so on. It will take me approximately 12 days or 14 days to finish the second chapter. When I finish this, my confidence is improved because I have been able to finish a small job which I started. Then I say, okay, now I will chant 15 verses every day, and so on. Slowly, increase the magnitude of your task. Then go to one chapter, and so on and so forth. You can do it in other areas of your life also. If you like, coffee 3 cups a day, make it 2 cups for the first month, 1 cup for the next month, and so on. With every success, your Sankalpa Shakti is strengthened. And once this Sankalpa Shakti is sufficiently strong, I can attack my mental weaknesses merely by Sankalpa. I can decide that when somebody says something, I will not respond with anger. I can decide that if I don't like something which somebody does, I will not criticize. I can decide that if somebody nags, I will not respond. I will be able to do that. But for that, I require a strong willpower. For a strong willpower, I require to strengthen that willpower. I have to lay down a very clear process in front of me, a clear line of activity for a few days, for a few months, which I'm going to do every single day. Every success in that, my willpower will improve, and slowly, over a period of time, I will find that negative thoughts can simply be wished away using my willpower. Oh. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya.
Om
Namah Shivaya.
Om
you.
Namah Shivaya, Raviji. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. Any questions? Okay. So with
Thank
this,
you, Acharya ji. It was a wonderful meditation. I think it was very much needed.
okay.
Yes, very much needed.
So
Very
you
much
have
needed.
to be able to develop these same things in other areas where you've got weaknesses. You know, one of the aims of Nidhi Dhyasanam is to get rid of individual weaknesses. So after I've done it only for a few minutes, but you can probably make it half an hour of at least 15 minutes. You'll find that really helps. So thank you once again. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya.